Hello there, so my name is Valerie and today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. In addition to reading, one of my favorite hobbies is learning languages. So I haven't made a whole lot of time to work on learning languages recently, but I'm hoping to do so in the near future. And since I have a ton of books on language learning, I thought I would show you some of the ones I have and give you kind of some pros and cons on the different ones in case you're interested in learning a language. So the first books I'm going to show you are possibly my favorite language learning series. They're a bit older. They were published, I believe, in the 1950s. At least these editions were. So you know, some of the vocabulary may be slightly outdated. You're not going to find the word computer in the back of the book in the glossary. But despite that, these books are still pretty fantastic. These are the Berlitz Self-Teacher books. They are available in French, and I also have the Italian version. They're also available in Spanish, Portuguese, German, and I think a couple other languages as well. So basically, each lesson has phrases, and on here it'll show the French, in this case, or whatever foreign language it would be, and then a kind of pronunciation guide, and then the English translation. And each lesson is on a specific topic, like clothes or colors. They may seem a bit repetitive. It'll just kind of say different phrases in that topic. It'll say, is the box red? Yes, the box is red. Is the pen blue? No, the pen is not blue. And that's would be the first lesson. And so the content at the beginning isn't going to be, you know, mind-blowingly interesting, but doing that kind of practice of, you know, changing a word or two, it kind of helps you to absorb the language without even realizing it. That's one thing about learning a foreign language, is that there's certain phrases that you just need to learn how to say so that you're not consciously having to think about every word that comes out of your mouth. It kind of helps you to build up some speed in recognizing certain phrases very quickly. So these books are, I'm pretty sure, no longer in print. They don't have an updated edition either, which I really wish they did, because they're fantastic, but you can probably get them for very cheap on Amazon used books or through eBay. So I highly recommend these. Next up is the Ultimate Living Language series. I have Ultimate Italian. I thought I had Ultimate French until I went to make this video, and then I realized I didn't. So now I have a book I need to buy. This one goes basic to intermediate. Some of them are just basic, some of them are intermediate, so pay attention to which one it is so you don't accidentally get an intermediate one when you've never studied the language before. But these are pretty great. These are much more recent publications by Living Language, which is through Random House Publishing, and these have somewhat more interactive and maybe more conversational information. It's much more direct. The Berlitz language books are more about kind of absorbing the material, and it gives you some information, but it's mainly just kind of absorbing it. But this outright tells you this is how you form plurals in the language, instead of just giving you examples of plurals and hoping you figure it out. So if that sounds more like what you would be interested in, then I would recommend these. I believe if you get it new, they come with a CD as well, or at least some of them do. So I definitely recommend these as well, especially if you're wanting more conversational, if you're planning on going to the country soon, and if you want your language learning book to be a bit more direct and tell you, you know, how to do various things in the language instead of just giving you examples and getting you to figure it out from context. If this sounds more like something you would prefer, then I would recommend these books. Next up, I have two books on learning Swahili. The first one is Teach Yourself Swahili, and the other one is Colloquial Swahili. Now, first of all, yes, I do genuinely want to learn Swahili. I've wanted to for years. I'm not gonna lie, the way I first heard about Swahili was because there are some words of Swahili in The Lion King. For example, Rafiki, the name of the monkey in The Lion King, means friend. Simba means lion, and Asante Sana means thank you very much. So there's a little bit of Swahili in The Lion King. The Lion King was my favorite Disney movie when I was a kid. And when I found out that that was Swahili, I kind of latched onto it and just decided I wanted to learn it. But then when after high school and college, I started actually looking at the language, and, just aside from it being, in The Lion King, I decided that I genuinely wanted to learn it because it's just so different from the European languages that I'm more accustomed to learning. And it's just a very different grammatical system, and the vocabulary is completely different. So I just am really fascinated by it. So if you're not familiar with Swahili, it is a language that is primarily spoken in Kenya and Tanzania and other parts of East Africa. So that's why I have 2 books on learning Swahili. Teach Yourself Swahili, unfortunately, I can't entirely recommend. It's not a bad book, but it's not terribly practical. So the problem with this book is that it does not start with practical phrases or words at all. The other book is much better. This book, though, it gives you, 30 to 40 vocabulary words per lesson, and in the first lesson it has the words potato and shoe, which, I mean, those come in handy eventually, but not like on your first day in Tanzania usually. Like, usually you want to know how to say, how are you? Or, where's the bathroom? Not potato. I'm sure that maybe once I go over the other book, I'll get some use out of this. Maybe seeing if there's any vocabulary in here that isn't in the other book, but I can't recommend this particular Teach Yourself book for Swahili. So I got the other book first, and then when I saw that it wasn't that great, I decided to pick this up after I saw the reviews on Amazon. This one is much better. It's much more practical. It goes over conversations and, about hailing a taxi cab and asking people where they're from and things you would actually say in conversation. So this is a much better book. I definitely recommend it. Now, don't take that to mean that all of the colloquial books are amazing and that all of the Teach Yourself books are terrible, because that is absolutely not true. In fact, there's several editions of these Teach Yourself books, and they kind of vary in quality depending on the edition and depending on the language. One good thing about both the colloquial and Teach Yourself books is that they're available in a lot of languages, like Swahili, that a lot of other language learning series don't have. So if there's kind of especially a non-European language that you're interested in learning, then I would recommend seeing if Colloquial or Teach Yourself has a book available for that language. And the last book I'm going to talk about today is more of a book about language learning in general, and that is Fluent in 3 Months by Benny Lewis. So Benny Lewis is a language blogger who goes all over the world and learns various languages, and there are varying opinions on his language learning methods in the online language learning community. But I have to say, personally, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Will it make you fluent in 3 months? Absolutely not. But I think it's very helpful, especially I think it would be helpful for people who are just beginning to learn a foreign language, who don't know even how to begin learning a foreign language. There's a lot of information in here on maybe how to get started and resources that people can use to help them to learn a language. And it's just very encouraging. There's a whole section at the beginning on different excuses people have for why they haven't or why they can't learn a foreign language, and he kind of knocks them all down. Even as a person who speaks one foreign language fluently and has dabbled in several others, even I got some useful tips and tricks from this book. And I actually got to meet Benny Lewis at a signing that he did at my local Barnes & Noble, and he put good luck in Spanish and French. So I really enjoyed this book. It's, like I said, will it make you fluent in 3 months? Absolutely not. But I would definitely check it out if you're serious about learning languages. So those are just some of the language learning books that I own that I thought might be helpful for anyone that's wanting to learn a foreign language. Now, these are all books, so it's kind of hard to learn a foreign language just from reading about it. And so I thought that I would also give a couple examples of websites that you can use to supplement these books to help with pronunciation. So one of those is duolingo.com. I'll post a link here and it'll be in the description as well. Duolingo.com is a site that just came out a couple years ago, and it's fantastic for learning languages, I think. They have Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, German, Danish, Dutch, and Swedish right now. And they're coming out with more. They're basically crowdsourcing the creation of the new language courses, so they're coming out with more all the time. It's kind of like Berlitz in that it doesn't so much directly tell you this is how plurals are formed in the language, but it just kind of gives you examples, and then you just get practice with the language. And then the other website that I would recommend is forvo.com. So Forvo.com is basically a repository of recordings of words that have been spoken by native speakers. It basically has every word in every language ever on it, and if it doesn't have the word, then you can request that a native speaker pronounce the word for you. It's been a lifesaver with French. I do not know how I would learn French without it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, but languages have always fascinated me, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I'm planning to do another video soon about languages and books, so I'm very excited about that, so keep a lookout for that. And let me know in the comments if you are learning a foreign language or if you're interested in learning a foreign language and what language it is that you're learning. That's all I have for today's video, so I will see you all next time. Have a great day!